Hello everyone! I wanted to start by saying a huge thank you to all of you for supporting this channel. We now have over 1,000 subscribers here, which is truly incredible. But this channel would not be growing the way it is right now if it weren't for all of you watching, commenting, sharing these videos with your friends. All of that is really what's helping the channel gain traction right now, and I'm tremendously grateful not only to have you here, but that you're willing to lend that level of support to the videos that I'm making. Thank you all so much. So I wanted to test out my shiny new community tab by asking, for no reason in particular, which do you prefer? Cinnamon or butterscotch? And it turns out over half of you prefer cinnamon, but as some of you correctly predicted, we will be using both of these today. As to celebrate 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be making the cinnamon butterscotch pie from Undertale and Deltarune. I know not all of you are fans of that series, but I also know most of you are because I see what videos you subscribe from. So hopefully this will be fun for everyone regardless of whether or not you know the series. I will be answering your questions while I make the pie, so hopefully this will just be a fun way for us all to celebrate together. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started making the pie. If you also want to make a cinnamon butterscotch pie, I will be linking the recipe that I'm using below. People asked some really fun questions for this video, so I'm really looking forward to talking through these. Here are some of the questions I was asked about my musical background. My first official instrument was the piano, and I had just the nicest piano teacher, but I was so young and I think I didn't super get the concept of practicing between the lessons. Like, I loved the lessons and I enjoyed playing piano, but I was just never a super serious piano student. Then in 4th grade, I started the violin. I actually had already wanted to play the harp at that point, but harp wasn't like an option in the orchestra. There weren't like harp teachers around, so the harp was just this mystery. So I started with violin, but I just wanted to play the harp so bad, and I think my parents were like, you know, maybe you should just quit the violin instead of trying to do both. And honestly, it was a great decision. Like, violin just isn't me, even though I think it's a wonderful instrument. I started percussion lessons, I think in 6th grade, and I had the best percussion teacher ever, and he was big on helping you learn how to solve musical problems on your own. And I was able to apply a lot of those musical concepts to my harp playing to try to figure things out on my own, and especially having that rhythmic background of percussion has really helped me a lot as a harpist. But I also totally fell in love with percussion as a whole, especially mallet instruments like marimba, xylophone, vibraphone. It was a really inspiring thing for me to get to play all of the percussion instruments as well as harp, and I really continued playing both of them very seriously all the way through my undergraduate degree. Since then, I haven't really had as much access to all the percussion instruments, but I'm hoping that someday I can acquire some of my favorite percussion instruments and get back into playing it again. But in the meantime, I am currently living vicariously through this amazing channel I recently found. It's called VRON Media, and she is incredible. She does full percussion ensemble arrangements by herself, and it is absolutely magical and amazing, and you need to go listen to her videos. If you like what I do, I can promise you, you will also be blown away by her arrangements. I think in a lot of ways, I mean, I'm biased because I love percussion, but I think harp and percussion are similar in some ways because they're so resonant. So you should definitely go check out VRON Media's channel, and I'm very excited to say that we are planning to do a collaboration soon once we both have time to get to it, so that's something we can look forward to in hopefully the near future. But yeah, I pretty much play harp and percussion. There have been a few other instruments that I've tried to learn here and there. Recently tried learning the electric mandolin. It hurts my hand to place around like the neck of the instrument though. I don't know, I always struggle with fretted instruments like that. And we also have a really cool instrument now called the harpeggi. It's not really like a harp, it looks more like if you were to just stretch out the neck of a guitar. So it's got frets, but you tap the frets instead of placing your fingers and then strumming. So that's one that will be fun to practice and hopefully incorporate into my videos someday. I think the thing that drew me to the harp initially was just that it looked really majestic and fun to play. Like, you just see all those strings and you see this giant instrument and, you know, you just want to touch it. One of the things that really solidified my desire to become like a harpist was this recital that I saw. I think I was in maybe 5th or 6th grade, and so I was a pretty new harpist. There was a harp recital by Julie Smith Phillips, and she was incredible. I was just blown away. Like, that experience, I still remember it pretty vividly all these years later, and it was just so
magical, the sound that the harp was making, and I felt like it just swept me away into this other world, and I thought, I want to do that. I want to do that for other people, and I want to be able to play this really cool music. So that's sort of what motivated me to become a professional harpist, and I think that feeling was pretty quickly validated by experiences I had even as a young harpist. I would play in the local coffee shop, and people would just react so positively to it, even if I was just playing simple songs. So I think the harp just has this really special ability to touch people. Not that other instruments can't, but there's something unique about it, and that's partly why I love posting on YouTube so much, is that I'm able to just put this music that I love out there on this instrument that I think is really special. What drew me to musical composition was basically necessity. So when I was in junior high and high school, and I had these friends who played other instruments, and I really wanted us to play music together, but I just didn't know songs that were written for like harp and bassoon or harp and horn, marimba, like all these other instruments my friends played. So I wrote music for us so we could play together. Not that I don't sometimes get a musical idea that I'm excited about that I want to write, but it's usually because there's a friend I care about that I want to play with. And that happened again recently. My friend Josh, who is also on YouTube, he has a music channel and kind of a gameplay channel, so I'll link him in the description as well. But he invited me to compose a piece for the two of us to play for a new music recital. And it was a lot of fun because since we're friends, we know each other's musical tastes, so I was able to kind of reference certain composers or certain styles of music that both of us really like and incorporate that into my own musical style. When it comes to things that are challenging about the harp, I would say that getting a clean sound is hard. I'm plucking all of these strings and the strings are vibrating, and then I have to replace my fingers in between these strings that are actively vibrating. It's really easy to bump into another string while you're replacing your fingers and make this kind of ugly buzzing sound. So personally, I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges. The harp has 7 pedals and each pedal has 3 notches, so it's a little bit unique in that sense where we're trying to move all these pedals through these different configurations. And especially as a new pedal harpist, it is kind of hard to just memorize the order of them and to move them precisely without being able to look down at your feet because you're playing the harp while you move the pedals. So I think that's some of the unique challenges of the harp. So next, I'm going to be answering questions about my experience with video games. I've always really loved video games, but I've always been more of a casual player in general. When I was really little, I would watch my brother play Crash and other games like that. As I got a little older, when we had a GameCube, I remember we started playing video games together more often, like Smash Bros. Melee, Kirby Air Ride, other games of that type. And I got more into playing video games on my own when I had a DS Lite. I had a lot of hours put into the Pokemon games on that system. But I think after that, kind of this gap between the end of high school and when I was in college where I didn't really do too much with video games, surprisingly enough, I had this big rediscovery of my love of video games during my master's degree. So my partner and I met during our master's degree, and during the summers when we would be apart, we would play video games together, and it was honestly such a wonderful way to kind of hang out together and do something in this cool virtual world. We played a lot of Terraria and Stardew Valley, and I was sort of rediscovering like, holy cow, video games are awesome. This is a lot of fun. So the two of us still play a lot of co-op games together. It's just such a fun way to spend time in the evening after a long day. So we started out playing games on Steam on our computers, but last year we got a Nintendo Switch, which it's funny because it's been out for so long, but it wasn't really on my radar. So for me, it's like this super fun novel thing that I have a Nintendo Switch to play now. So I was asked about my favorite video games in kind of 2 different categories. Basically, someone wanted to know based on the soundtrack what I would recommend, and someone else was just asking in general what my favorites are. So if I'm going based on soundtracks that I like, I'm not saying they're the best soundtracks, I'm saying I am very partial to them. I have to go with Spyro for one of them. Any of the original Spyro games. I don't know how many people know this, but the drummer of The Police composed the soundtrack for that game, and when I learned that, I was like, no wonder it's just such a fun and cool soundtrack. I am going to do some Spyro covers on this channel. Like, it will happen. I love that soundtrack. I think it's just delightful, and for me it's also very nostalgic because I used to watch my brother play that game. I think I got to play it too, but I don't think I made it very far. So other games that I would recommend based on the soundtrack, Mario Odyssey. Oh my gosh, like the songs on that, every single song is amazing. And I mean, Jump Up Superstar is just iconic and wonderful. Other soundtracks I really like, this is another nostalgic one, Crash. It's very marimba heavy and I love it. And then there's some that overlap where I would say I love the soundtrack, but also it's just a favorite in general. So of course, Undertale and Deltarune, but also Stardew Valley. And then another one that just in general is a favorite would be Animal Crossing. And actually the Animal Crossing New Horizons is my first Animal Crossing. So it's like I said, everything with some of these games is just very novel and exciting for me since it's my first Animal Crossing game. But yeah, those are my favorites in general. So obviously I am more on the casual side of gaming. I also think it's really fun to just check out a lot of different indie games. Like, there's so much creativity happening, and I think it's so cool that it's coming from just these smaller creators and these smaller teams. I actually find it really inspiring. So one of the questions I was asked that's kind of hard for me to answer is, who's my favorite character from Undertale and Deltarune? And I think that's hard because part of the charm of the game is just that every character is so lovable in their own way, it's hard to pick. But if I had to, I guess I would say Toriel in Undertale. She's sweet, I appreciate her. And in Deltarune, probably Ralsei. I mean, I did make a Ralsei costume for my dog, but I mean, Susie is also so awesome, and the queen though, like, oh my gosh, it's hard to pick. So on the subject of Undertale, someone asked, how did I hear about Undertale and Deltarune, and what inspired me to make a YouTube channel and play some songs from it? So the funny thing about this is I actually made my channel in the year 2011, and the reason that I did that was to post Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess harp covers. So it was kind of a similar concept that inspired me to make a channel, but for a different game all those years ago. And those videos are hidden now because they're, you know, me as a junior hire, but I'm thinking about showing those and reacting to them whenever I hit my next YouTube milestone. So if you'd like to see that, let me know in the comments. So my YouTube channel's been around for a while, but the reason I started playing Undertale music and just regularly posting things was I had kind of a really stressful time. I had started a doctoral degree in harp and I quit mostly for mental health reasons. Things were obviously pretty stressful and I wanted to just start playing music that I just wanted to play. Like, not music I was getting paid to play, or not music that was checking off requirements for a degree. Like, I just wanted to play something that I love, that I thought would resonate with certain groups of people. And it's been a really rewarding thing to do. I'm gonna keep doing it because people enjoy it, and that's the whole point. That's why I started playing the harp in the first place, was to share music with people that would touch them, make their lives better, make painful times easier, all that good stuff. Like, that's why I do what I do. Undertale is kind of a special game to me because I found it at a really stressful time in my life. I don't remember why I found it or how I heard of it, but it was during like early 2020, and I don't know if it was just posted, advertised on Steam or something, but obviously the art style appealed to me and that kind of drew me in, and I started playing. The soundtrack obviously was incredible, but I was just really drawn into this video game in a way that I can't remember the last time a video game has impacted me that much. I was just completely sucked into it, and meeting all of those lovable characters and being swept away into this other world was just something I really needed at the time. It's been really fun to connect with other people who also really resonated with this game. If you haven't played it yet, I would recommend it. And Deltarune as well. Deltarune's free right now, the first 2 chapters, so definitely give that a try if you haven't. I think most people would love this game. Some of the last questions that I have are about my interests outside of playing the harp. Maybe not surprisingly based on this video, I actually really enjoy baking. I find it a really relaxing thing to do. I just love the process of making it and having that end product of, it started out as a bunch of ingredients and now it's this pretty thing that I can go around and share these baked goods with my friends. Like that, when I was in college, I would very often show up to the harp studio with a tray of cookies for everyone, or distribute muffins around the music department or something like that. So baking is something that I really enjoy doing. I enjoy arts and crafts type things in general. I'm trying to learn pixel art right now. I also really enjoy spending time with my dog. I am one of those annoying dog people who's very obsessed with their pet, so Spending time with Otto is something that makes me really happy. Otherwise, my favorite leisure activities in general are definitely playing video games and watching YouTube. So you can see why I enjoy doing what I do here on this channel. The last question I have is, do I have any plans for the future? For a long time, my goal was to be a harp teacher. I just started my current teaching job this fall. My new students are just really wonderful and I'm enjoying getting to know them. Basically, my plan is to see what I can contribute to the harp program that we have. I'd really like to see it grow. Otherwise, you know, things are pretty good. I'm excited to keep putting a lot of effort into this channel. This is something I'm really passionate about, and it's been so rewarding to see people really reacting to my videos and enjoying it so much. My plan is basically to keep being a harp teacher and keep making YouTube videos and just see what happens from there. So yeah, that's the plan. And here's our finished butterscotch cinnamon pie. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.